So, what is love addiction? How can a person become addicted to something as common and as essential as love is? In this video, I will share some of my personal experience and my professional knowledge about love and love addiction. Hi, I'm Sanja Rozman. I'm a psychotherapist, a medical doctor, and author of 7 books on process addictions. On this channel, we discuss process addictions, relationship problems, and trauma, helping you learn all you need to know about process addictions. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. What's love got to do with it, sings Tina in her beautiful song. And I think it may be everybody's question. A lot of people have problems because of addictions. They may become addicted themselves. 10% of people, so they say, become addicted to something somewhere at some time in their lives. Or they may be family members of the addicts. I remember how I first stumbled upon this question. That was 25 years ago, and I was a young doctor with 2 small children, married. One day my husband came home, depressed, telling me he has something very difficult to disclose to me. I thought he had fallen in love with somebody else because I knew that things were not okay with us for some time then. But I'd done nothing to change that. I was just playing my part of a perfect wife and a perfect mother and thought things will magically disappear overnight. Well, that's not what happened. Instead, I was to learn that he had secretly begun gambling for money, going deeper and deeper in debts. The reason why he was telling me that was not that he was sorry and wanted to change. He was convinced that he was actually doing me a favor because he is going to win the big jackpot and then everything will magically be alright. Does that sound familiar to you? There was no way of talking him out of this. And I started to wonder who was this person, who was this gambler sitting across me that I didn't recognize. I didn't know what he thought, I didn't know what his intentions are. That was scary. I started wondering how and when did this change happen that I didn't notice? How can a person change so much overnight so that you don't recognize him? Is this still love? This was the moment when I started to question everything I thought I knew about relationships and love. For me, love at that moment meant when somebody loves you, they appreciate you, they love you the way you are, unconditionally. But in this situation, I could not unconditionally accept his behavior, and I was puzzled if his behavior towards our children meant love because he was hurting them. Instead of the person I knew and I married, there was some stranger, and I wondered if what I felt for him was still worthy of to be called love. We entered a recovery program, and there I found answers to all my questions at that time. I learned that he was addicted to gambling, but I was addicted to love. But by love, that didn't mean the real thing. It meant obsessive control, trying to change, trying to please, trying to be somebody else, losing myself in this behavior. And this was not sane and was not right for me. It was an obsession, it was an addiction. And it was as uncontrollable as for the other addicts to stop their harmful behavior. My efforts to change him didn't work because people can change only if they want to. But I tried and tried and tried in spite of knowing that things don't change. In the end, my husband didn't stop gambling, and so we had to divorce. But I stayed in a recovery program. It took me a couple of years, and it was anything but easy, but it was well worth it. My life changed. I acquired new friends that didn't desert me. I became self-confident, And all these things, all these changes, all this peaceful life was so good that I decided it's worth devoting my life to it. I studied to become a psychotherapist, and I work for 25 years now with people in recovery from addictions. A love addict is not just someone who loves too much, as alcoholic is not somebody who drinks too much. There are a lot of other problems behind it, and as I have explained in my previous video about loss of control with the addicts, there's a thin and invisible line between abuse and addiction. The line is crossed when you repeat the behavior very often, and this makes the structure and the function of the brain change. And when something like structure in an organ is changed, we have all grounds to call it a disease. A love addict is constantly preoccupied with the search for romantic fulfillment, obsessed with finding and keeping love, and as unable to stop it as the junkies are unable to stop their using. She believes that finding love and keeping love is the most important thing in the world, and she's prepared to do anything for it to happen, and even things that are harmful for her, harmful for her children, for the people that she loves. She will stay with a verbally or physically abusive partner. She will stay with people who betray her. She will think that there's something wrong with her, not with other people, when the consequences of such behavior happen. She will tend to adapt and please the others. She may even abandon her children for the sake of being with her partner. Such behavior has consequences. It's depression, it's loss of control, it's violence, and in time there's the toll to pay with declining health and with financial troubles and other troubles in school or at work, wherever she is. You may think that this is typical female behavior, but no, men are addicted to love too. So, one can be addicted to love with the consequences similar to other addictions. But I think it's worth making a distinction here. Love is the essence of all our relationships, not just the romantic ones. And what passes for love with some people wouldn't be called love with other people. The definition of what love is actually starts very early in life, in our first relationships with our parents, with our caregivers. We learn that love is what we feel coming from them to us, and this is what we seek when we grow up. Only that not all people are lucky enough to have grown in safe environment, with constant care, where the people who take care of him are there all the time. Some people have different experience. They may have grown up in families where they were neglected or even abused, and they were not constantly taken care of. A child will not think that his parents are to be blamed for the bad behavior. No, he believes that there's something wrong with him, so that his parents are unable to love him. And he tries to change, he tries to adapt, he tries to please. He learns the behaviors that keep the other people interested in him, and he calls it love. The problem of being addicted to love is that you sacrifice yourself, what you need to become, for the image of the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect somebody else's role in life. And you lose the connection with yourself. You cannot grow, you cannot thrive, you become depressed, and you lose all contact with reality in time. For some people, love has a lot to do with sacrifice, with pleasing others, with putting the others first. But this is not healthy. And the low self-esteem and what you do to raise it is what forms the basis of love addiction, and also, in my experience, with most other addictions too. Therefore, I believe one cannot be addicted to love as such, but people can get addicted to all sorts of surrogates for love. And who would be satisfied with the surrogates when he can get the real thing? Only those people who don't believe that they are entitled to the real love, to the real thing. Only those will settle for less than. Somebody may want a hug, but instead they will reach for ice cream or chocolate, because desserts don't desert you. Or somebody who is lonely would want to reach out for others, but instead he will rather play video games or go into chat rooms to form virtual relationships with other people, because of his experience that other people can hurt you and desert you. And instead of searching for love, people may be satisfied with just short, shallow relationships, sexual ones, and ones that end up after the first few weeks of romantic infatuation. And one can become addicted to that because this sort of overstimulation of the brain changes the brain. In our next video, we will look into the mind of a love addict and see how the mind is changed. If you learned something new today, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Also check out our previous video where we discuss how the addicts are unable to stop their behavior. To learn more about my work, visit my websites or follow me on social media. Thank you.